Hey everyone, hope you're well. Back again for another talking video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I thought I'd save it until I had something really good to show you. So some of you might have already seen this if you follow me on my socials, but recently I brought a new guitar. I say new guitar, it's an old guitar, it's from the 70s, so it's new to me, but it's an old guitar, and I'm absolutely in love with it. So I thought I'd switch the camera on, play a few tunes for you, and just generally chat about the guitar, and how cool it is. I mean, anyone that knows me knows I love Gibson guitars, and more than Gibson guitars, I love old Gibson guitars. Anything vintage with a bit of story to it, a bit of mojo, I'm all over it. So yeah, today I'm just going to chat to the camera a little bit, play you through a few examples, explain through some of the few like weird features on this guitar that make it a bit more unusual for a guitar like this. But yeah, should be a fun video, so I hope you enjoy it. So I picked this guitar up from a guy called Norman at a place called Old Hat Guitars. And it was a really cool shop. I'll pop a photo up of some of the guitars he had there, and normally you're lucky to go into a place and find any vintage guitars, and this guy had a whole shop full, a whole rack full of them. So I literally tried out loads of guitars. It was a great day, and I went in kind of looking for a hollow body. I wasn't overly sure on what I wanted, and I generally tried out everything you see in the photo, and this is one that stood out to me. So this is a Gibson ES-345. I'll get into that later on, what that means, but yeah, it's a real dream come true. I've honestly been after one of these for a long time, so well worth the wait. So before I get too into the video, I'm just going to explain the setup today. The guitar is plugged in straight into my pedal board. I've got a few things on the board, tuner, got a carbon copy which I'm using for a bit of delay here and there, but that's going straight into the Blackstar JJN, which you've probably seen on the channel a few times. We'll get a close up of the settings if you're curious, but I'm just trying to keep it quite simple today. I'm just using one cable going in. A guitar like this would normally go into a stereo setup, but I'll explain that later on. And before I get too ahead of myself, I think I'm going to play everybody's favourite blues riff and B before I get too in with it. When you look at a guitar like this, immediately I think of Freddie King, maybe B.B. King, that sort of vibe. But for a lot of people, if you ever watch Back to the Future, which I'm sure who hasn't seen it, you're probably thinking of one thing alone. And I'm going to play that for you now because it's a class film and this is a class guitar. So here you go. Hopefully you enjoy a bit of Johnny B. Good. So now that's out of the way, let's chat a bit more about the guitar. So you might be forgiven for thinking this was a 345, or a slightly more blinged up 335, and you'd be totally right. So I'm just going to go into the bit of the history on the guitars for anyone that's curious. If you're not fussed about this, I've got the timestamps in the description, so feel free to skip ahead to the playing. But for anyone interested, let's start from the beginning. The ES-345 came out in 1958. So in the first year, they would have had dot inlays. It was a bit more of a basic guitar. I'll try and get a few photos popping up on the screen. And the next year, they brought out the 345, which had some of the features we have here. So the main thing that draws your eye in is these inlays. You've got these split parallelogram inlays. So it's a bit more of a blingier guitar. You've got the crown on the headstock. But the main difference is it's a stereo guitar. So it's kind of something they did in those days. I don't think it really caught on because you don't see it on a lot of guitars these days. But what you're meant to do with this guitar is plug it in with a stereo cable. So that's one that goes in here and it goes off to like a Y cable, and you're meant to plug it into two different amps. Now, when I was in the shop, they actually had an old Gibson stereo amp, so I was able to plug it into this sort of magic stereo amp, and the sounds that came out of it were incredible. And what essentially happens is Your neck pickup goes to 1 amp or 1 speaker, and your bridge pickup goes up to the other speaker. So when you're in the middle position, you get the sort of stereo effect, which is really cool. But today, like I said, we're all in mono. Just going to keep it nice and straightforward. But yeah, back to the history of the guitars. Like I said, the ES, that bit stands for Electric Spanish, and the numbers, hard to believe, but back in those days, 335 was the price. So you could go into the store and pick up a 335 for $335, and this being the 45 was $10 more expensive. So for those $10, you're getting a few extra features: the stereo situation, the inlays, just a bit more bling, the gold hardware and whatnot. But they're great guitars, but a lot of people, I think there's a lot of confusion about the specs on these things. So yeah, like I said, cool guitar. I'm going to do a lot of playing today. I'm going to try and show you how versatile this guitar can be, because a lot of people think of it as a bit of a blues, a bit of a jazz guitar, which is cool. I love that. But I'm going to play some, some higher gain stuff as well, just to show its versatility. So let's get some more playing examples. Okay, so I'm going to start from the neck pickup. Love the neck pickup on this guitar. These pickups, by the way, these are pattern number pickups. I had a look inside because I was curious. I've got a photo of that. So if anyone knows anything more about these pickups, let me know in the comments, because I don't know too much about them. All I know is I love the way they sound. So relatively low output, obviously like a PAF style pickup. Very cool. So here's a bit of noodling on the neck pickup, and this guitar sounds lovely for the sort of bluesy noodling, as you'd expect. So yeah, I'll just mess around for a little bit. I've got the volume halfway up. It's a very dynamic guitar, so here we go. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, one of my favourite things to do on this guitar is to really play with my fingers. I notice I'm playing the guitar a lot more with my fingers than the pick these days, and just really rolling the volume controls up and down, because there's a lot of tones in here, which normally on the Les Paul, everything's on full half the time, so and that's a great sound, but this guitar has really encouraged me to play about with the volume control a bit. So I'll keep noodling away for you and just try and demonstrate a bit of that. So I'm going to whack a bit of delay on, just something subtle. It's the carbon copy. Here we go. Very subtle. Alright, so let's chat about the specs of this guitar, because it's always good to educate ourselves. So, the guitar's made out of wood, obviously, all guitars are, but more specifically, we've actually got a mahogany centre block in this guitar. So that's the bit in the middle of the guitar where the pickups are drilled into, and the tailpiece and whatnot. We're not going to be able to get a close-up of that because there's no cavity in the back of the guitar, and the camera's not going to fit through the F-holes in the guitar, I'm afraid. So you just have to trust me on that one. But that's mahogany in the middle, and then the sides, the top and the back are all maple. Now it's finished in this amazing walnut finish, which I'm a massive fan of. That's kind of a thing they did in the 70s, this walnut colour. Now, I believe you only get it in red, cherry red, like Marty McFly. You get it in black, sunburst, the classic sunburst, and natural. So the walnut finishes, if you ever see one, you know, it's kind of an instant, oh, that's an old guitar from the 70s kind of thing, I think. Because you just don't see them a lot for whatever reason. Maybe it didn't catch on, I don't know. But lovely finish. Fretboard, we've got rosewood, and we've got these amazing split parallelogram inlays. Now, nothing against dot inlays, block inlays, trapezoids. I think these are the coolest, you know. They make the guitar sound any better, but they just look cool, and that's important sometimes. The headstock, you know, pretty traditional Gibson style. We've got the crown on the headstock and the, what's that on the truss rod? It says stereo on the truss rod cover. The back of the guitar, we have the traditional, would have been gold at one point, now they're faded, Gibson Cluson Deluxe sort of style tuner with the tulip plastic machine heads here. A lot of people will look down upon those and replace them with Grovers. To be honest, these are solid. There's no like give in them at all. They're really tight, so I'm really happy with that. One feature I love on this is the volute on the back of the headstock. I'm sure you've seen those. If you haven't, that's this chunky bit of material here, where they basically thicken out the neck here, and it's to reinforce it. If you've owned a Gibson in the past and you've ever dropped it and had that mini heart attack because you think you're going to snap the head off, this is basically to avoid that. Not saying it wouldn't stop it, but it certainly helps you and makes you feel more at ease. So it just reinforces that area there. Great idea. Why they don't do that now, I don't know, but there you go. This guitar has the witch hat knobs, which I like, and the thumb bleeders. Obvious why they got their name. They don't really catch your thumb that bad, but you know, they're there. You notice them. We've got the you know, the 6-way Varitone switch, and we've got the trapeze tailpiece here. So a guitar like this would have come with a few options back in the day. You would have got the trapeze like this one, or a fixed bridge like a Les Paul, or I believe you would have got a Bigsby. Now I'm a fan of all of those, but I like this because you can get that crazy noise out of it, which is fun once in a while. And that's pretty much it on the guitar. We've got a bound body, front and back. I believe it's a 3-ply binding. It's lovely. Obviously it's aged, it's got that sort of lovely cream colour. And all the gold hardware, as all my guitars, has faded because I've got sweaty hands. That's because it's an old guitar though, but it will continue to fade with my playing, I'm afraid. So that's all you need to know about the guitar construction. So like I said, it's a semi-hollow guitar. Now, I have been very lucky recently to borrow a completely hollow guitar from Gibson, an old one. And you might have seen that on my social media. I'm going to be doing a video on that very soon, so watch out for that. It'll be interesting to hear the comparison between this and that one, so keep tuned. So I'm going to try something on the clean channel of the amp, which is something I really don't do a lot, and I should probably do more of it. So I'm going to play something a bit smoother than I'd normally play. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so I want to talk about this little switch here. The eagle-eyed among you might have noticed, if you've seen a guitar similar to this before, you may or may not have come across one of these. Now, I believe the modern versions of this guitar, some of the ones that you can buy off the shelf these days, they've sort of ditched this little bit of circuitry here, so you can only really get it, as far as I'm aware, if your guitar's kind of vintage correct, or it is literally an old guitar. So this little thing here, we'll get a close-up of it, obviously. It's called the Varitone switch, or the Varitone circuit. And it's basically a 6-way rotary switch, as you can see me turning it here, that kind of changes your tone, hence the name Varitone. Now, a lot of people seem to like not like these, and a lot of people will take the circuit out, and that's a real shame because there's some really cool tones in there. Position 1 is basically true bypass, so nothing's been affected, and the easiest way to show you is to just play and let you hear it. But essentially, from what I can hear, each click round, you essentially lose low end, so it gets thinner and thinner as you go on. So I'll play a little lick and then I'll just sort of spin round the rotary switch, and you can make your own mind up of it. But they are sort of like predetermined tones, so it's not like you're trying to like roll your volume or your tone down and search for a sound. You're literally just channeling through 6 different sounds. So there's a lot of misconception about this. Some people love it, some people hate it. A lot of people think it looks cool and just leave it alone. So like I said, position 1's bypassed anyway. BB King's famous for using position 2 quite a lot. Like I said, as you go further on, it's going to get thinner and thinner. So position 6 sounds very tinny. Kind of cool though. You know, it's kind of a cool sound if you're recording and you want a sound that's going to poke out in a mix, I'd assume. But let's see what it does. So here's a little lick. Oh, turn the volume up, it would help. Let's try it again. So neck picker, volume a little bit, around 8 it is here. That's the full humbucker. So let's go to position 2. Slightly thinner. Just keep going around. So that's 2. Position 3. So that's quite nasally sounding. It's kind of cool. Next position, position 4. So it's considerably thinning out that humbucker. It's kind of almost getting into the realms of single coil, to be honest. Very cool. Reminds Okay, getting a bit distracted. Let's next position, position 5. Wow, really hear a difference on that one. And let's try the 6th position. Here we go. So let's just compare drastically. Let's go 1 to 6. So here's 1 again. Back to good old humbucker. Number 6. Some interesting tonal options there, really. And again, I've experimented a lot with this already since owning the guitar. And this is very reliant on where you have your control set, your volume controls, your pickup selection. That's going to change how that sounds drastically. So there's a lot of like hidden gem tones in there if you search for them. So I'm just going to stay on 6 for a little bit because it's quite unusual. Just going to muck around a little bit. So let's try 4. I quite like. Lovely sounds on that. Alright, so like I said, the looks of this guitar, it very much is kind of an old school blues rock type thing. I'm into that, it's my sort of jam, but you know, you'd be forgiven for thinking this wasn't a very good guitar for high gain, and I don't want to offend anyone by plugging too much gain on, obviously, but I'm going to, you know, when I think of blues I always think of Gary Moore, so I'm going to try a bit of Gary Moore. So just going to turn the volume up. I'm going to go on to the bridge pickup for once actually, and we're going to have the volume a little bit higher, a bit more gain on the amp possibly, and we'll see what it does. But again, some people refer to these guitars as the Les Paul killers, you know. If you think about it really, the construction of the guitar, although it's hollow on the sides, hence semi-hollow, the middle is still mahogany with 2 PF or PF pattern number humbuckers slapped on it. So the middle bit is essentially like a Les Paul, I guess, with the sort of wings of a hollow body. So yeah, I think a lot of people write these guitars off as just being jazz guitars, but they're capable of so much more. It's probably why you find a lot of session players use them, because they kind of do a bit of everything really. So yeah, let's try some Gary Moore, see how it handles that. So I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did, you know. So I think you'll agree it handles gain pretty nicely. A lot of people might worry about feedback. Again, with this being a semi-hollow guitar, it doesn't feedback as much as you might think. Again, it's a bit of a misconception. So something like a completely hollow guitar, like a 330 for example, now that will feedback with gain. Again, in the right hands, if you know what you're doing with it and you can control it, it can be very usable. I mean, just listen to guys like Jimi Hendrix, he made feedback so musical. But again, don't let a semi-hollow guitar sort of scare you into thinking, oh, it must be a clean guitar only, because you can really get some great gain sounds out of it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to play the guitar unplugged actually, or with the volume sound should I say. Just so you'll hear it on the microphone we've got in front of us. It's fairly resonant unplugged, and that's another thing I love about this guitar. You've got a nice sound unplugged, you know, good for your blues. So I don't know how well you hear this, but so let's plug it back in because that's what it's designed for as well. But I just wanted to show you the sounds unplugged, you know. Try the middle position here. Going to mess around a bit more. Going to mess with the settings a little bit. I'm in the middle position here, just rolling the volumes down a touch on each pickup here. Forever finding tones that I really enjoy on this guitar. I guess that's a good thing. I'm going to roll my volume down, get a cleaner sound. That cleans up lovely. Let's maybe flick the switch, the magic switch. Let's try that. So thank you ever so much for watching this video. I've really enjoyed playing the guitar. I absolutely love it to bits, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing it. I've tried to play a little bit of everything today, you know, some cleaner stuff, a lot of my fingers, which I'm really enjoying doing at the moment. It gives it that bluesy vibe. And if I've missed any really obvious 345 riffs, or if there's something you want to hear me do on this guitar, let me know in the comments section, because I'm going to be making a few more videos on this at some point. I want to make a video of it plugged into a dual amp stereo rig, which will be really interesting, so watch out for that one. And like I mentioned before in the video, I'm going to be comparing this against a 330 that I've been lent for a little bit. I'll flash up a photo because it's a cherry red from 1963, I think. So gorgeous guitar, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one sounds up against that one. So if you've got anything you want to hear me play on both of those, drop me in the comments and I'll make sure I do that. Other than that, only other thing I want to say is I've got a new series of videos coming out really soon. So if you've made it this far into the video, well done, thank you, hope you've enjoyed it. You might have seen, recently I went to Otterhead Studios again, and I've got like a new series of cover videos coming out soon, so I'm really excited about that. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on those, because they're going to be awesome. So yeah, any further questions, let me know about the guitar in the comments. If you've got one yourself, let me know, I want to hear about it. They're great guitars, and they aren't just a blues guitar, they do a bit of everything, so I'm a huge fan. So thanks again for watching, catch you on the next video. Oh, let me play you out as well. Let me play you out with some Gary Moore again, let's do that. Alright, see you on the next video.